You are listening to I Am Refocused podcast with your host, Shemaya Reed. This podcast is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. Now, let's tune into today's podcast.
Hey, this is I Am Refocused podcast. We are here once again. Shout out to everybody listening to this podcast show on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, all over the world, man. So, man, we have an awesome guest. We have a team from Harris Middle School, a robotics team, and they're called the Robo Hawks. How y'all doing out there, man?
Good.
Awesome. Well, we have Miss Stephanie Fulford. She is here with them, and also a sponsor, Ricardo Bass. I want to say hello to Stephanie and Ricardo. How y'all doing too?
Doing well.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Awesome. So, Stephanie, tell us a little bit about this awesome team, the Robo Hawks.
Okay, so they were established about 3 years ago when we first decided to do this. And so they compete with First Lego League. Mm-hmm. And so they started out 3 years ago, and they've made really great progress throughout the years. And we've kept a solid core group because it's 6th through 8th graders. So usually when we get them in 6th grade, they stay for 7th and 8th. And so then spots open back up when our 8th graders actually go on to high school. So we usually retain most of our students who stay with us. So that's pretty exciting. So they've kind of grown up with each other and formed friendships over the last 3 years. And so that's really the basics of them and how they got started.
That's awesome. And tell us also too, how does this robotic competition, how does that help with their education?
One of you guys want to talk about that?
Well, it does give us more opportunities to learn more about different stuff. Like last year was a water theme. Mm-hmm. So basically we did a lot of research of different options for getting fresh water, and we actually learned tons of cool stuff while we were doing it.
That's awesome. And if I can ask, who's this that's talking?
Pedro.
Awesome, man. So also too, man, if you can, what is this year's theme for your team?
This year's theme is space theme, helping out astronauts.
First Lego League puts out the challenge, the problem, and then every team that participates in FLL comes up with their own solution to the problem. And so FLL actually came up with the challenge of how we could help astronauts in long space travel, either physically or emotionally. And so they ran with the emotional side of it for their project.
And when it comes to programming, building, teamwork, what are some of the skill sets that are required for this to be a successful turnout?
It really comes down to the programming side of it. It's more trial and error. We have a basis premise of how we want to move the robot and get the challenge done, and then we just go through it all, see what mistakes we made, and see how we can fix it. And we work as a team to try to help each other move along with that, and if we have a problem, we help with that too.
When it comes to the competition, anybody can answer this one. What's your favorite part and why?
I honestly like whenever we're in the core values and we're doing it's basically a minute to win it challenge, and it's honestly super fun to be able to work with all of my team and just be able to do some fun activity that they've come up with.
How much time do you all collectively take when it comes to practicing?
About an hour-ish.
They meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3:45 to 5 o'clock.
What is the most challenging thing you face when you have been part of this competition?
The most challenging part we probably faced was either the programming or coming up with a solution.
Who all is involved and how many members do you have on your team?
We have 9 members on our team, not including the teachers and the sponsors.
So with 9 people on your team, how do you all manage who gets to do what? You kind of, whoever picks the shortest straw gets, whatever they have to do, or how does that work?
Basically based on like who's good at what. Like the people who are good at programming, they program the robot. People who are good with coming up with ideas, they work on the solution. Yeah, and then we all like come together and like bounce ideas off each other.
So you guys excited about the next competition opportunity?
Yes.
Y'all sound very enthused.
I can tell right away you are just very serious about you're the quiet storm. So basically when you show up, you let your robots do the talking. Right?
Yeah, that
sounds pretty accurate.
pretty accurate.
All right, so when it comes to school and doing this as an extra activity, how do you balance doing your regular stuff at school and making time to do this? What's some of the special things you have to do to keep yourself focused?
Well, for me, I have to make a schedule, like how to balance my homework, robotics, and I'm also in some other stuff after school, so I have to balance that out.
It's easier for me because I'm really organized and stuff, so it kind of all works for me.
When it comes to this year, what's your aim? What's your focus for this year?
Number 1!
That's right. See, I knew you had some excitement, man. All right, when it comes to your parents are equally as involved as you are. What's some of the excitement that you get from your parents? Or are they also a quiet storm?
Like, I know my dad is like this like super smart person who's like very intrigued by everything, like wants to be everything when he grows up. But yeah, basically like he's always curious about what we're doing here, because like he's always like curious, like, oh, that looks interesting.
What's the main thing that you enjoy out of school, outside of the robotic competition? You got friends, you got other activities. What was the main thing that you enjoy in school when it comes for your education?
I enjoy engineering. It's basically my favorite subject here at school.
Mm-hmm. And why is that?
Well, because I want to become an engineer when I grow up. So basically, like, I like engineering and I want to become one. So.
All right, I love how you're right to the point. No fat, just right there. That's clarity, and that's good. When it comes to students out there, what words of wisdom will you give to students out there who needs a little bit more boost and motivation when it comes to school?
Say live life how it is. If stuff comes up, that's fine, but try to be active in your school, active in sports, whatever you want to do, extracurricular activity-wise, and also try to maintain your grades with it. Balance it out. Just have fun with it.
There you go. Have fun. And besides the robotic competition, what else is involved in the FLL champion?
Okay, so they have a project component side that they had mentioned in the beginning, and that's actually even a bigger component than the robot and programming and doing the games. It counts for like 70% of their overall score. And so they had mentioned that they were given a challenge in the beginning, and it was how to help astronauts in long-term space travel. And so they actually met with someone, a NASA engineer, and talked to him through Nepris. It's almost like Skype. And they were able to talk to him and bounce some ideas off of him. And they came up with the idea of astronaut Scott Kelly just came back from a year-long deployment in space, and he said that the hardest part about space is the emotional, social side, not so much the physical, and NASA's really going to have to focus on that more if they want people to stay in space longer. And so that's what the kids really ran with when they were talking to the engineer from NASA, and the kids decided that using VRs in space might be a way to bring Earth kind of to space and help bring home to them, so they felt more comfortable and they felt more like they were at home than being on a space station for a year and a half completely in isolation with only the team that they work with. And so they bounced the idea. They wrote the engineer back, and the engineer asked if he could forward their solution to the Human Research Project Department at NASA to see if it was a viable option, if it's something NASA had even considered before. And I just heard back from him last week that he said the kids are pretty ingenious because NASA is considering something like that. So the kids coming up with that idea was actually a practical solution. So it's not something that wasn't off the wall. It was something that NASA has already started to look into. So the kids actually came up with a solution that grown adults at NASA have also come up with to say that this might be a legitimate way to solve this problem. So that was really big kudos to them for thinking outside the box and really trying to fix the problem that these guys face. So that's a huge component to it, not related to robotics at all.
So we are still talking to the Robo Hawks at Harris Middle School. They are going to be in this awesome competition, the FLL League, aka First LEGO League. So once again, y'all excited?
Yeah.
Yes.
And when it comes to, anyone can answer this question as well, when it comes to this competition and competing in the FLL, what's some of your hopes or expectations during and after?
We expect to go to regionals in Houston.
Awesome.
That's what they really want. They want to go on to we're going to regionals. It would end up being state in Houston for like 5 days, and it's a pretty intense competition. They only take the top number 1 team, and 60 teams are competing over the next 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. So it's like 30 teams on Saturday and then 30 teams on Sunday, and then they'll take the top number 1 team and invite them to go to Houston. So that's what they're working toward. They feel really confident. They earned, when we qualified back in back in February, qualified the number 1 team when we met for qualifications. So they're pretty excited, and they feel like they have to go to Houston this year.
Once again, we are talking to a group of students at Harris Middle School, the Robo Hawks, the ones messing with NASA. I mean, it don't get bigger than that. You have a big opportunity to do awesome stuff. And big shout out to Ricardo Bass, the sponsor. Does he want to come on and put some 2 cents, or?
Well, that we're sure that we're gonna win and go to Houston.
Okay, Ricardo, man, appreciate that. So back to you, Stephanie.
Yes, sir.
What's the main thing that you get out of this when you see these young minds doing great things with their education?
I think for me, I love to see how they've grown over the years. Some of them were very shy when they first started out, and they've kind of just grown into these larger-than-life personalities. And I think seeing them embrace these challenges and realizing that they can, even at their age right now, they can compete with and come up with ideas that grown adults do. So it's not that you have to wait to be an adult to do something good in this world, that you can start at any age. If you really want to make a positive change in the world, you can start. And so for me, having these guys and having them realize that and seeing how far they've come is what I love. Just to see how they've grown into their own little individual, adults. Really, honestly, they're going to go out and make the difference and be the change. So that's what I love seeing.
And let's be clear, this team is competing with other Santonians. This is not just something that they're doing with friends at their middle school. This is a big situation here. I want y'all to understand this. Like, this is legit. First LEGO League challenges kids to think like scientists and engineers. So once again, I'm trying to get y'all excited because this is a big deal. Someone come to the mic, aka the laptop, and tell the audience what is, once again, that you're looking forward to for this competition.
looking forward to win.
I love it. I love how you write to the point, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. But before we let you go, though, anyone want to say something, some shout outs to somebody, or if you want to say something to inspire some other classmates or just people, young people around your age, like anyone can come in and have your moment.
I want to make a shout out to my teacher, Mr. Castro. She really inspired me, and she's been my teacher for 2 years, and she's just awesome. And a shout out to Miss Fulford. She's just an awesome teacher too.
Shout out to Harris Middle School for giving these kids opportunity. Big shout out to Stephanie Fulford and Ricardo Bass and everyone out there who has this opportunity to do something like this. Is great. To think like a scientist and an engineer and do great things with a team effort. That's what it's all about. And once again, you're listening to Iron Focus Podcast. We have been talking to the Robo Hawks. This is not the last time you're going to hear from them. Hopefully they are going to win. Good luck to y'all, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.